My name's Claire. Welcome to Book Talk. Today we'll be discussing Throne of Glass by Miss Sarah J. Maas. Throne of Glass is the first book in a 5 to 6 book series. There are 3 books out now, plus a prequel, and 4 novellas, I think? The prequel is The Assassin's Blade, then there's Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, and the most recent one, Heir of Fire. This book is amazing, and one of the reasons I absolutely love it is because it's fantasy. And it has this great mix of fantasy and reality that I really love, and I think that the author did that really well. I love the characters in this. I love the book itself. I love where it's going. I see so much potential for it, and I cannot wait to see where it goes. I have the next book in it already, Crown of Midnight, and I'm waiting to read that until I finished this book talk. So after I've done this, I'm gonna go and read it. I'm really excited. But one of the things I absolutely loved about this book is it reminds me of rain. Not rain as in it's raining outside in the weather. Rain as in R-E-I-G-N, as in royalty, as in the TV show that is on the CW network that takes place in 16th century France about Mary, Queen of Scotland, and her alliance to France and Francis, and all the drama that's in French court. It's historical fiction, but it reminds me so much of this book because there's so many similarities to it. Not so much with the fantasy, but like the time period, because we don't really know what time period it is, but we do know about the way they speak and what they wear. It just reminds me of that TV show. The main character, Celaena, when we see her in this book, she's 16 years old, but what we find out is that her parents died when she was 8, and the King of Assassins took her in and trained her to be his protege. Not successor, because successor kind of insinuates that she's gonna kill him and take over, but definitely his protege. We don't know what happened to her parents. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happened to her parents. All we know is that her parents died when she was 8, and then the King of Assassins found her. Going back to the whole Rain and Throne of Glass kind of similarities, I continuously think of Celaena as Mary. The way that Adelaide Kane portrays her just reminds me so much. The characters seem to have so many similarities because they're both really stubborn. Celaena is the world's most notorious assassin, and then one day somebody betrays her. She gets sent to this death camp. She gets sent to Endover. This death camp is a mining camp, and most people don't even make it a few months. She made it an entire year. She gets sent here when she is 17. This book is now when she's 18. A year later, the king of this world decides that he needs a champion. He needs an assassin to do all his dirty work. And he doesn't want to just go and hire somebody because that'd be too easy. He decides to throw a competition to find all the assassins and criminals in the land, and he's throwing a contest to see which one of them is going to become the king's champion. All of the noblemen in his court get to pick a champion, including his son. It's basically kind of a game to them. All of the champions that are chosen compete in a series of tests. There are 23 champions, including Celaena, and the tests take the course over a series of months. There's a lot of them. When we go into this book, I think she says that it's about late summer, early fall, so I'm thinking it's about September, and then it ends after Yule Mass, which is, I think, their version of Christmas, and it's like 2 weeks later, so I'm thinking this book takes place between September and January. The prince, like I mentioned, decided that he wanted Celaena to be his champion. So he and the captain of the guard decided to go look for Celaena and pick her as the king's champion. And Celaena has the choice to either stay in Endover or go with the prince and become his champion to become the king's assassin. She doesn't like the king, so the option is either stay in death camp or go be the king's assassin, and I like her choice. She chose to go be the king's assassin, or be the prince's champion to later hopefully become the king's champion slash assassin. This entire book is Celaena's journey throughout the test. It is told through multiple characters' perspective. For the most part, it is Celaena's journey. There is an amazing love triangle in it, and that is not a spoiler because it says so on the back. It literally says, 2 men love her, the whole world fears her, only she can save them all. So it wasn't a spoiler. I kind of wish that we wouldn't have known about it, because that to me was a spoiler, but it's on the back, so I'm going to tell you guys, because then technically you can't blame me. That is it for the non-spoiler section. I recommend you go read this book, go watch Rain on the CW. Doesn't matter what order, you can read this and watch the show, but you'll see the similarities just like I did, and that is it. Do not continue if you have not read this book, because I'm going to get into some spoilers. So, bye! I'll see you guys when you read the book! Okay, so So, like I said in the beginning, this reminded me a lot of Reign. And I've been watching Reign since it came out, since last year. And it's coming out with the season 2 premiere on October 2nd. I am, of course, going to be watching it. These two, so Reign and this book just start to meld together, and I think it's all because of their similarities. But now I cannot unsee these characters in Throne of Glass as the characters from Reign. Dorian, in my mind, is Francis. He's not Dorian, he's Francis. That's all I see. Only Dorian has this dark hair, so how I picture him is Francis's personality with Bash's looks, and that's just how I think of it. Chaol reminds me of Bash. He's more reserved and everything, but then I see him looking more like Francis, but definitely having Bash's personality. And the relationship between Chaol and Dorian and Francis and Bash is really similar because they both grew up together. They match so perfectly to me. The love triangle that's forming in this book is so similar to the love triangle that formed in Reign. And the triangle in Reign was really well done. And so is the love triangle in this book. The King of Assassins, let's talk about him real quick. We don't know a lot about him. We know that he took in Celaena when she was 8. We don't know why he took in Celaena. We don't know anything about him. And throughout the book, we learn very, very little about him. At first, I was like, oh yeah, he can't be that bad. He took in this little 8-year-old girl. And then we find out these little details about him, and just the more we hear about them, the more I really don't like him. He took in this 8-year-old girl. I feel like he and the king plotted together to kill Celaena's parents, and then he was like, hey, I could use a protege. You're gonna be my protege. Little 8-year-old girl who just had her parents killed. The fact that the King of Assassins made Celaena pay off everything that he did for her, I was pissed when I read that. Takes in this girl who didn't really want to become an assassin, trains her to become an assassin, and is like, oh yeah, I did all this for you. You have to pay me back. And he makes her go out and kill these people. At least on the bright side, you know, she got to choose who she assassinated. That's not a really big bright side for being an assassin and having to assassinate people to pay off your debts that you didn't even know you had. And when she was training, the thing that was for her own good, where she mentioned when she was sword fighting that why she was so good with sword fighting with both her right and her left hand was because when she was learning how to sword fight, the King of Assassins made her break her right hand because she wasn't as good with her left hand. So he gave her the choice. Either he was going to break her hand or she had to break her own hand, so that for months she was forced to only sword fight with her left hand, and that you don't have to break their hand to become a better sword fighter. She says it so nonchalantly too in the book, and that just made me question it even more. I don't want to say understand, but I do kind of understand why he made her do that. It would be a nice skill to have to be able to sword fight with your right and left hand, but he didn't have to make her break her hand. Another thing is, in order for her to not be afraid of heights, he stuck her on a really tall building for hours on end for days to make her unafraid of heights. That would only put more fear in me of my fear of heights. I do not doubt that at some point during the series we will encounter him, and I'm really kind of looking forward to the dynamic that happens between the King of Assassins and Celaena. I want to see how she reacts to him, because I feel like her reaction to him could go one of two ways, and I can't wait to see which way they go. I really want to know about Celaena's parents' backstory, because the fact that they were murdered in the way that they were, they had to be a part of something in order for that to happen to them. Because you don't just go into your neighbor's house and assassinate them like that, because they wouldn't bring you back your plate. I want to find out what happens. I did mention that there are four novellas. I think those novellas are more of her training and what happened when she trained in that place, instead of her actual backstory with her parents. We get this mention of this guy named Sam, and apparently we know that talking about him is really hard for her. We also know that they had a thing. He was killed when she was betrayed and then sent to Endovier. And I want to know what happened with him. I want to know more about him, and I really hope we learn more about him. I think we learn more about him in the prequel, The Assassin's Blade, so I'm looking forward. I just really want to see what happened to him, because we don't know. All we know is that she was betrayed, and that's how he died. If he really did die, I don't know this author yet, so it's not kind of like one of those authors where, is he dead, or is he dead? And if he's dead, Is he really dead? Maybe. I don't trust your writing. I don't know that yet. I want to find out if he's dead, or if he's gonna come back. Now that's not to say that I want him dead, but I do, because I feel like if he were to come back, he would kind of ruin the love triangle that we got going on. And I like the love triangle. I feel like, for the most part, I feel like love triangles are kind of overdone now, especially, and I'm kind of sick of them, but this book, I really like the love triangle that they did. I do kind of hope that it ends soon, but I'm really looking forward to reading it, and I'm glad that Sam's not going to come in and ruin whatever love triangle dynamic is going on here. But now Celaena's got Dorian, who's got that Rosalind, I think her name was, who he fell in love with, and then she left him to marry another guy, which is just like what happened to Frances and Olivia in Reign. That just completely reminded me of Reign, and this is Reign, only with a fantasy twist to it. It's less historical fiction and fantasy instead, but it's still so similar, and I love that, because Reign is one of my favorite TV shows, and having this book so much like it just makes me so happy. Dorian and Frances do remind me a lot of each other, minus the looks. They both have a lot of the same personality. They both kind of seem like man whores. We get to know that that's not true. They're not really as man whory as we believe them to be. And they're both really arrogant. In reality, just like Frances and just like Dorian, they don't know how to stand up to their dad. They're both feeling really oppressed. Frances feels like Bash is his father's favorite, and Dorian feels like Chaol is his father's favorite. So that's another similarity between them. And I really love Dorian, and I don't want to say I'm Team Dorian, because I said that in the beginning of Reign. I was like, oh yeah, Frary, Team Frances and Mary for life. And then we got the Bash into the love triangle when Mary had to leave Frances. And then I was like, oh crap, I actually ship Bash, Mary and Bash, what am I gonna do? But then I ended up kind of throwing the whole love triangle away. Now I like Kenna and Bash and Mary and Frances. That's definitely, if it goes like that, hopefully Chaol will find someone. I don't want him to go with Caitlin though. No, that is a definite no. Like I said, I'm not picking a team because I think I'm going to be surprised, and I don't want to have my heart broken if I do pick a team. You don't really hear a lot from Chaol, you don't really hear a lot from Bash, but they're both really big main characters in the series. And Chaol is a lot more serious, and he's not as sarcastic. He doesn't joke with Celaena like Dorian does. We don't get to know him as much, like I said, and because a lot of the book is from Celaena's point of view. We occasionally get Dorian's point of view, and even rarer than that, we get Chaol's. And every time we have an interaction with Chaol, between any of the characters, he's very stiff. He's very work-oriented, and he's very, very serious. Dorian is much more open than Chaol is. He's funny. The interaction between Dorian and Celaena, I love. They don't throw insults back and forth, but they like have comebacks that they throw back and forth that I really love. I love ball scenes, and the entire time I'm reading that ball scene in this, I am thinking of the ball from Vampire Diaries, Dangerous Liaisons, that one, the Michelson's ball. That's all I'm thinking about when I read this, and I just love it so much. I love how they describe that, how it's kind of like a mission, and Celaena says at one point that Ball isn't going to end with her assassinating someone, and I thought that was really funny. And then at the end of the ball, she and Dorian meet up back at her room, and he kisses her, and then the next morning, they're all awkward between each other, and he's like, I'm sorry if that was too forward. And she's like, oh, no, it was okay. It was okay. Like, no, it was fine. I mean, you weren't fine. I did not like the stutter. And at one point she even mentions that it's awkward, which I love. On the other hand of this love triangle, there's Chaol, and he's kind of like the sturdy one. He's the one that'll deal with them, and he's really supportive. So it's like she's got Dorian who she can joke with, and then she's got Chaol who's really serious, who can help her, who's really sturdy. And the relationship between Celaena and Chaol is very trainer-trainee, because since she's been in Endeavor, she's kind of gotten slacky. Not so much she's gotten slacky, but she's lost a lot of what she used to be able to do. So he's teaching her all this, and so we get a lot of that interaction, which I really liked. It wasn't as cute as Dorian and Celaena, but I still really like the interaction between Celaena and Chaol. Chaol's really serious, So we don't really see a lot of his personality, which I'm really looking forward to. I hope we see it more in the next book, in the books to come. I'm sure we'll see it in more books, but I'm really hoping that I start seeing it in the next book. And it's so funny because a lot of the time in the book, Chaol will say that he's worried about her because she's so mysterious and she doesn't talk a lot about herself, and then he'll go on to not talk a lot about himself. And then we have Celaena, who's the princess of Elwë, that is technically a country that has been conquered by the king of Ardalan, but she gets to keep her title, and there's rumors that she has close ties to the rebels in Elwë who want to separate their country from the king of Ardalan's rule, which I am all for. I kind of didn't know how much she was lying. I figured that there was something up with her when she wouldn't tell about the word marks. But I didn't know I didn't know that she was faking it the entire time. She was faking her accent, she's faking not knowing the language. It was like, you can't read that. Why are you reading that? But it was actually a really clever plot, because you would be surprised what people will tell you if they think that you don't know what they're talking about. And Dorian's brother, I'm gonna go with Holland, is Joffrey. Game of Thrones. I don't watch that show. What I've gotten from it is that Dorian is Joffrey. So you can kind of imagine what Dorian's brother's like if you watch Game of Thrones, or if you know anything about Joffrey the little dick. Queen Catherine in Reign said that history is made by the survivors, and I am surely that. The King of Ardalan, I think that's what happened, decided to rewrite history to make it so that Queen Elena wasn't a warrior. Queen Elena was just the queen. That aggravates me, but I love the fact that Celaena knew that Queen Elena was a warrior. This entire series is going to be so amazing. I can already tell by the first book. I'm so looking forward to reading it and reading the entire series and seeing where it goes, and I can't wait to read the prequel and all the novellas. I have Crown of Midnight, so I can't wait to read that. And then there's Heir of Fire after that, which I'm really excited about. I think my favorite part was the ball, because all I can imagine is Elena Gilbert walking into the Mikaelson ball. That's all I can think of. Every time I read that part, I just think of Elena walking into the Mikaelson ball. Share your thoughts in the comments. I'm Claire. I'll see you next time. Bye! So one thing about this book, and why I've been pronouncing some of the stuff maybe you think incorrectly, is it went through a cover change, as you can see, because I have the paperback version, and in this I have a pronunciation guide. So I hope I've been pronouncing them right. I don't know. That could be it. Also, I don't know if you saw her. This is my puppy. This is Lola. And she just decided to come and crash the video.